Bigfoot from 2006 is distributed by Trauma. That's all you need to know. It's low budget with no actors you would recognize. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Okay, yeah, it does. But let's see if we can find the diamond in the rough. It opens up in a nice, calm, peaceful field, full of birds and rabbits hopping around. And then, out of nowhere, Bigfoot takes out this baby raccoon. I really hope they didn't hurt this poor creature just for the movie. Next, we meet Jack Sullivan and his daughter Charlie. If Charlie looks a little out of place, it's because she was supposed to be a he. But just 2 days before filming, the kid dropped out. Well, good on them for improvising, but all they really did is make Charlie here a tomboy. Anyway, Jack's had some bad luck and is forced to move back into the home his dad left him when he died, which is in Ohio. Now, I'm from Ohio, and I can safely say that, yep, this is Ohio all right. When they pull into the house, it looks like it needs some work, but hey, that's better than nothing. While standing at his new home, just minding his own business, Jack gets a visit from the cops.
Hold it right there.
But don't worry, it's actually just his old friend, Bob Perkins. I think Bob has a problem because he's drinking the whole time during this movie. Now we meet Sandy, a ranger who's given kids a nature walk when one of them wanders away and screams. Sandy rushes over to see what the big fuss is all about, and it turns out to be a mutilated deer, which has been happening a lot around here lately. Later on at the bar, no surprise here, Bob and Jack show up. This guy Buckley here has some beef with Jack over something in his past, which we'll get to, but it's not really a big deal. Anyway, he tries to start a fight over nothing, and it gets broken up pretty quickly. Sandy walks in needing a drink after her long day with the kids. Fun fact, they were actually taking shots of whiskey here up until around the 7th take, when they decided to switch to tea. Anyway, she tells them about her day and the deer carcass that they found, which they blame on all the new construction in town, shrinking the surrounding forest. And, well, add dog to that list. And it's a beagle, too. I love beagles. Anyway, George here says he knows who's killing all the animals. Bigfoot. But of course, everyone laughs at him.
Talking that Bigfoot crap again? Put a sock in it.
I like George. I think he's my favorite character in this whole movie. Not just because he believes in Sasquatch, but he's genuinely funny, too.
Friends, you fat bastard.
What's that?
I said you better bring friends. Oh yeah, then I called you a fat bastard.
After the bar, Jack drops Bob off at his house, and just for a second, in his headlights, he sees the beast, making Jack a believer now, too.
What the hell was that?
The next day, Jack and Charlie are getting ready to go to a baseball game when Sandy shows up. This is where he goes into details about his past, which, like I said, it really isn't that interesting. He's ex-military, he saw some sergeants picking on some new recruits, so Jack stepped in to defend him. Some fists were thrown, and one of the guys he fought ended up being the general's son, so he was court-martialed. There you go. Like I said, it's not really a big deal. Elsewhere, some guy's out bird-watching, and is killed by Bigfoot. When he doesn't make it home, his wife goes to the police for help, who drive out to take a look. And, sure enough, dead bird watcher. The coroner's eating a sandwich here. Oh, why do you always see that in movies?
That's disgusting.
It's always the guy who handles the dead bodies who's eating.
White bread?
They all look at the bird watcher, or what's left of him, and this is when Jack admits he saw something the other night, and he thinks it was Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Of course, everyone thinks he's nuts. Now it's time for Charlie's big game, and let me just tell you, these kids suck.
Strike 3, you're out.
Of course, when it's Charlie's turn at bat, she gets 2 strikes and then hits a homer. That never happens in real life. Anytime I had 2 strikes, I always struck out. Anyway, it bounces into the woods, and with no concern for poison ivy, this kid goes right in looking for it. Luckily, he finds the ball, but not so luckily, he's snatched up. The only eyewitness? Jack, and he still sticks to his Bigfoot story, but no one's buying it. They finally get the pictures developed that the birdwatcher took, and yep, it's looking pretty squatchy.
What the?
Meanwhile, Barkley's gathered up a few of his friends to go out in the marshes and hunt down the creature. And they fail miserably, with Bigfoot taking them all out, one by one. He pulls Barkley into the brush. Now you know that the beast is strong. Barkley was pretty fat. At the bar, they all have a drink for their fallen friends, and George tells us a creepy Bigfoot story. He might not be around the campfire, but it's still just as effective.
1933.
Back in 1933, during the Great Depression, everyone was desperate for food. So a boy and his father went into the woods to get a deer, but they didn't come back. A search party came and found the boy, and he said something about a giant wild man who ate his father. They searched and searched for him, but no body was ever found. For years, everyone teased the boy, but his story never changed. He stuck to it. Who was that boy?
You looking at him.
After a long night of drinking, Bob's ready to come home, but I don't think he's gonna make it. In the morning, Jack sees an ambulance heading towards the bar. He follows it, only to see his best friend dead. Later that night, Sandy checks in on Jack to see how he's doing, and they talk for a bit. Yeah,
Hey, Dad,
talk.
tomorrow kill me.
Charlie.
The next day at a parade, Jack spots Sandy on the other side of the road, and he goes over to talk to her, stealing an American flag. Who does that? They agree to meet up that night to finish what they started before Charlie interrupted. Jack's back home mapping out where all the murders have happened, and he figures out that the creature must be hiding in the old gravel pit. He's just about to head out when Catherine shows up, Bob's wife. She wants to give Jack her husband's badge, and she asks him to kill whatever took her husband away from her. So he does. Jack arms up with all the gear he has, hops onto his motorcycle because he's one bad SOB, and heads for the fight of his life. Sandy shows up at the house and sees the map Jack left behind, so she rushes over to help him. But is she gonna be too late? Because Bigfoot's all ready to battle. Jack takes a ride on the conveyor belt, which looks like fun, but then Bigfoot throws him back over. Sandy shows up, and just when it looks like Jack's toast, she lends a helping hand. He stabs the beast, but it does nothing. So he blinds the creature and shoots some Roman candles at it, which hits some gas and blows up.
Bob, you son of a bitch.
But he's not dead yet. In fact, barely a scratch on him. So now it's back to hand-to-hand combat, which worked so well the first time. But luckily, now old George Hobson comes creaming in with his truck and finally kills the creature.
That's what you get for eating my daddy.
And that was Bigfoot from 2006. It's not going to win any awards, but it could have been way worse. First off, for a movie that came out in 2006, it looks like it was filmed with a Handycam from 1997. Some of the actors are pretty wooden. Okay, most of them were, but Bob and George did a good job. Some of the jokes work pretty well too. There's an ongoing bit where Bob will get lucky if other guys tell his wife she looks thin, so he goes around making everyone in town tell her that. It's dumb, sure, but it got a laugh. I personally like this suit. It looked pretty good for the budget, I thought, and the gore effects weren't bad either. Honestly, it's not that bad of a story. If they would remake this with a 4K camera and real actors, it'd be pretty watchable. If you're a fan of Sasquatch and you're just dying to see more movies with the creature, then this'll fill that void. But after watching it, you'll still probably think, well, that was a waste of an hour and a half. I give it 2 stolen American flags out of 4.
It's Kathy, man. She keeps cooking, I keep eating. What am I supposed to do?
Tell her they invented something called salad.
She makes salad. Potato salad.